Hello everyone, welcome to the meetup again. And this is a place where we talk about anything and everything related to student and community life. And today, I have here Morgan Winston.
Hello.
And I have Jim Worthy.
Hello.
And finally, I have Becca Jackson here.
Hello.
And Becca, can you please introduce yourself for me?
Hey everyone, I'm Becca. I am the secretary on PTK, part of the Presidential Ambassadors for Student Ambassadors and the Student Government Association. And I'm going for Information System Technology with Web Design.
All right, thank you.
I'm so excited to be here.
And today, Becca, I brought you here and everyone else here to basically talk about entertainment and just entertainment in general with TV shows, radio, podcasts, and especially with the podcast becoming more relevant to our time period. So, yeah, I just wrote up a little few questions and I'm going to be asking you. And you can ask questions or you can answer them to the best of your ability. And thank you everyone for tuning in today. All right, so the first question I have for you, Becca, what do you like most about talk shows?
Oh, the different personalities. Honestly, you can get so many different personalities from the host to the people that they bring on. I've seen a lot of new talents on some of the talk shows and the feel-good stories. I like Ellen. She's pretty cool. She makes me happy being a feel-good show. So that's what I love, honestly.
All right. And Morgan, do you have anything to add about TV shows?
Not too much. Talk shows are pretty neat, and I'll tell you the truth. It's usually how I learn about the news is through a talk show, and people telling their opinions on it and things of that sort. So it makes it easier to digest when I hear them say it and put it in different words. So I appreciate talk shows for that.
And what about you, Jim?
I'm an old curmudgeon, so I don't watch much talk shows anymore. If there's somebody, if I catch one and I'm interested in what they're saying, cool. But I don't. I just don't watch it as much as I used to. Talk shows. I used to watch the late night talk shows a bit, but again, being an old curmudgeon, I'm usually, hunkered down under the covers.
DVR those.
Yeah.
The late night ones.
Well, when I think about talk shows, I think of like you said, Ellen, or I think of Wendy Williams show, the Wendy Williams show. Mm-hmm.
Is she the one that's always talking about like her hair, her wig and stuff? Maybe. I might be wrong.
Maybe so. I think I think she's the one that's always got somebody on the screen and talking about somebody else and their life, and yeah.
Is she the one that when the pandemic hit, she does most of it from her kitchen now, right, or her dinner table?
A lot of them have changed
Is that not Wendy Williams?
The late
I
night
don't know. They
with,
got that green screen. I can't tell.
the late night one on comedy, they switched that to their house too. It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of them. I like what Morgan said too about they dumb down the politics and what's going on in the world for me so that I can be like, oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yep. It's like a different choice of CNN. You get like more to your knowledge terminology.
Or mixing a little comedy with it so it's not so boring.
That's how it's sinking your head.
Yeah. With the joke.
All right. Well, thank you, Becca, and everyone else for adding your little suggestions. So, going over to your next question for you, Becca. What topics interest you in tuning in to a podcast or television show?
True crime. I love it. My husband never understands. He's like, I will never understand for the life of me why you are so obsessed with true crime. I was like, neither does any other husband, because I guarantee most wives are tuning in to true crime. I've always loved psychology, though. So that's kind of what gets me with true crime. I love just kind of picking apart what went wrong in their life or where did this start. I just love the puzzles of it, honestly, and trying to figure it out myself. That's really the only thing that I get, other than the gushy romance stuff. Hallmark and Investigation Discoveries, where I live, 95% of the time the kids have control of the TV, though. So, what about you? What's your favorite?
Honestly, I like true crime too. I haven't been watching TV much at all, really. And when I did have TV, I just had the antenna. So, yeah, that's Ion Television, Criminal Minds and stuff. Criminal Minds, that's my show. And I like,
love,
what is it?
Spotify?
Special Victims Unit?
Yeah, SVI.
Mm-hmm.
Or SVU. Wow. But
Yeah.
Spotify, I like how the podcasts are so available that, like, they can go anywhere with you. I mean, you can with TV now, too. But the podcast, you can get them from anywhere. Spotify, YouTube.
How do you
Plug
guys?
it in on your phone.
How does everybody on here? How do you take your content? Do you like how often do you sit in front of a TV, an actual TV, and watch, whether it's a crime show or the talk shows, and how much of it do you do on a laptop or a tablet or your phone?
That's a
I'm
good
probably
question.
more my phone than anything else because of the content that I like watch. I've got a 5 and a 6-year-old, so they find my content to be a little spooky, to say the least. I'm on my phone 95% of the time.
So it's a smaller screen for you, and you don't have to worry about. Yeah, I totally understand.
Normally, I'm not even watching. I'm listening to the podcast, so it's just voice.
Oh, right.
I'm cool with that. I just want to hear the story.
Because I've found it interesting, just over the years, as content delivery has changed, I end up watching. If it's less than 15 minutes, I'll watch it on my phone. But if it's longer than that, I prefer still to watch it on the biggest screen I can. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. And podcasts and stuff, I don't mind listening to. And those are best, through my phone, through a pair of earbuds.
I think it's probably, for me, it's just the fact that I've got so much going on. I think a lot of parents with young children would kind of agree with me on this. We're just constantly going with our brains being pulled in so many different places, and the kids are so tuned in to what they want to do and what they want to watch. And Lord knows I want them to be quiet while I'm trying to do my stuff. So I let them have the TV, and with a podcast, I can just get up, I can clean the house, I can do my homework, pair of earbuds in, and I'm rolling, and I'm blocking them out. So it's just the easiest way for me to entertain myself with something other than Dora the Explorer or Blaze the Monster Machine roaring in my head. But I agree. Culture's changed a lot.
Yes, very much so. I agree. Now, Jim, this question is for you. It just came off the dome. But for a man perspective, does it matter what size TV screen you got, or like you have to have the biggest TV screen?
It's not so much. I mean, probably. I don't know if it has as much to do with my Y chromosome as it does my eyeballs. But I catch myself squinting at a smaller screen, and when I'm watching something, now if it's an interview, so if it's a talk show type or news type or true crime. I mean, I don't mind watching the true crime documentaries like on Netflix. Those specials, those are pretty interesting to me. But I don't mind watching those on a smaller screen necessarily. But if it's something that has a lot of visual detail, that's why I want the big screen. I don't want to watch something that I would see in the movies in a theater on a little bitty screen. I still like watching it on a bigger screen because I like to see what's going on, and I like the visual, the palette, is as important
Immerse
to me
yourself
as the
in it.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, when it's like right in your face and huge, it's easier to zone out on it.
Yes, I definitely agree. I heard like some men be like, I gotta have the biggest TV in my man cave, and I'm like, okay. And then one
My
person was
husband has
like,
to have all the tools in his man cave.
oh, okay, nice. And Morgan, did you have something to add?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna add. As far as like the device I watch the content on, it really depends on what the content is. If it's something school related, or it's like a documentary on, I don't know, English castles or something, and I know I'm gonna have trouble sitting for 2 or 3 hours watching that, I'll put it up on a big screen because I know if I walk away from it, I can still see it and hear it from across the room. But if it's something like a Netflix series, like Supernatural or something that I'm watching, I'll just put it on my phone and watch it because I can carry it around with me and I know I'm going to stay focused on it. Whereas with a documentary, I might look away from it or take my earbuds out. I'm not going to stick with it all the way through.
Yes, I definitely agree. I know with them documentaries, you have to actually put your mind to watching them. Well, it depends on the documentary because I know like for the history class, they can get pretty long. But, like, I have to actually, like, sit there and, like, watch it and, like, get my brain right to actually watch it and, like, write down notes so I can actually critique the paper and write a paper on it. Because, I don't, it's just something about documentaries, unless it was, like, a famous person or something. But half of the time, I really don't, like, I don't want to say, like, care, but, like...
You don't watch them for fun.
It just doesn't catch your interest.
I mean,
it's not
yeah.
your preferred.
But, like, I think the history ones, like, I actually have been learning stuff, like, on them about, like, different things that, like, happen in the world. And, like, we didn't really learn in a typical, like, classroom setting. Like, it's like they covered up some things. And then when I got to this history class in college, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about, like, documentary style when you're learning history is you get more of the nuances as opposed to reading a chapter in a textbook.
And that's all your information right
That's
there.
all your information, and it's up to you to interpret what they're talking about. And if they're talking about trench warfare in World War I, unless you've seen what trench warfare is, you're just sort of making up and just assuming, okay, trench warfare is a term I need to know. But when you're seeing a documentary and then they're explaining...
It sinks in your brain more.
Exactly. You understand why... It gives you, a deeper understanding of whatever the subject is.
Yep. And the same goes for, like, famous people. When they have documentaries and stuff, you actually, like, see what goes on behind the scenes, like, actually being on TV and doing whatever else they do.
Yeah, definitely think you have to put yourself in the right space for learning something. I don't know if my device really plays a part in that, though. To be honest, I think I'm just so used to kind of flipping, flopping where I'm going so much because I'm constantly on the move. It doesn't bother me as much, but I will say when I'm doing like schoolwork, I tend to sit there on my laptop. That's where the documentaries and stuff really kind of come in for me. And I do normally put that in like my work zone where I'm sitting at my laptop, toning in with the notes going. So I think it really depends on what you're doing.
Well, I was going to ask Becca, when you have, like, let's say that your husband takes the kids for the afternoon and you go, oh, I'm just going to watch what I want to watch. And you sit down and you get comfortable and you know you don't have any other responsibilities. What ends up being your device of choice that you end up watching on?
Oh, if I have control, it's going to be the big screen.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's right in front of, I got the leather couch there that I spent a lot of money on that I never get to actually sit and enjoy. Like if I have nothing else going on and the kids are gone and I don't have homework or work, like up my butt, then yeah, I'm gonna sit down and enjoy the nice couch with the big screen and the HD. Yeah, that experience, like you were talking about, like I can just kind of zone in on it more if I'm not moving around and doing a million different things.
What about you, Morgan? Same thing. Well, when you actually have that time that you go, I'm just going to sit down and watch what I want to watch. It's not for school. It's my favorite TV show, my favorite movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I would put it up on the screen, but it depends on the show as well. I would kind of have to be like, Home Alone, because there's some stuff where it's like with Supernatural, that TV show's not that bad, but it's something that my mom might not want to see on
Right.
the TV while she's doing dishes or something, or, working somewhere in the same room. So it would just depend on if I have completely free reign. Yes, I would put it up on the TV to watch.
But for the most part, you're just as comfortable with the phone screen.
Oh, yeah,
which-
absolutely. Same content, just a different way to,
Right.
see it.
See, yeah, and I understand that.
I
Some
agree.
people might be like
I
this,
think
they're more
it's like
intimate.
the newer generation. We're just like,
It's just like
if I
on the
can
go.
watch it, it's fine.
It's like on the go, and then like I feel like with a smaller device, you don't have to necessarily like make arrangements for someone else taking
Yeah.
over your phone, unless you give them the access to. But like if it's in your hand, most likely if you're already watching it or laying down watching it, then nobody's gonna come flip the channel because like I don't think it's a remote to that. So
Right.
yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel limited more when I'm on my, like, sitting on the couch watching the TV. Like, if I have to go to the bathroom or something, I have to do so much more to just like make arrangements for it. If I have to cook dinner or just leave the room in general, I got to pause it and hope to God that no one comes over and like unpauses it or changes channel. Like with my phone or my tablet, if I have it already and I need to get up and go make dinner, I take my phone
Just
with
carry
me,
it with you. Yep.
go on to the kitchen and keep on doing what I'm doing. No limitations, really.
Well, my next question for you, Becca. Well, since we already talking about how things have evolved and changed, like how do you think TV has evolved over time?
I think before it used to be like technology alone obviously has changed TV and movies. Because we used to watch on a VHS, like there was no such thing as streaming. If you were going to watch the TV, you were going to have to do it and hope that your tape didn't get messed up in the process. So that part alone, how we get our streaming, has obviously expanded. And it used to be like you could get cable and everything would be there. Like you'd pay for the one service, it'd be there. I was actually just talking about this with another friend the other day, that it seems like now everyone's trying to dip their hands in the streaming. So you have to pay for a million different services to get the content that you want.
That's
been
like
the biggest
stars and
change.
stuff, right?
Stars, Netflix, Disney Plus,
Netflix, now
HBO
the
Max.
is Discovery Plus.
Yeah, that's how they
Yeah.
get you.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing that I was noticing, that it used to all be in one place. Like your cable company might be different, but everything was there on that one, like cable included it all. Now it's like you can have cable, but oh, by the way, if
We got
you
this.
want to watch this specific show, you're gonna have to get this specific streaming. Like,
Yeah, I feel like actually having cable in this day and time, it can benefit you a little bit, but not too much, because honestly, most people, if you have internet, you can watch some TV or something, because you can watch different things. Like, you don't have to actually pay for cable. You can just get the internet box, and if you want to pay like a monthly subscription for that specific streaming service, then you can do that. And it just has really changed with seeing how cable, like certain things you'll have to pay for up there, like having like, what is them, like Stars channel or
Yar.
something, and like
HBO.
or something. Yeah, HBO. But like if you get the streaming by itself, you get all the channels on that one thing, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't need that. We're gonna kick that to the curb.
unless they want you to add in like $5 extra for HBO or whatever on the devices, because that's happening too. I can see the good and bad in that. Like with me growing up with everything being on cable, that was convenient, but it was also annoying because you're paying for like all of these packages, like this huge package, and you're only watching like 10 shows. And now, like with streaming, you could potentially save yourself some money by picking and choosing which ones are most important to you. But I have the problem where I'm like, oh, but I want to watch that. that one's now on Discovery Plus. What do I do? That's how they're sucking me in.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to end up paying the same amount that you would have paid for cable anyway, because you got to have everything in there.
Everything. Yeah, well, I guess it just depends on the purpose of if they really want to watch that show or have that. It really depends on the person and how their dollar's looking. If their dollar's looking all right, get it.
Exactly. And I think that's where the good and bad can come in, because it gives you the opportunity to at least have something. If you only have $5 to contribute to your cable or your streaming, but yeah, if you only have like 5 minutes to $5, I'm sorry, to contribute to something, like maybe you can choose Netflix or Disney Plus. That way you have something instead of nothing. Because before, if you couldn't afford the $60 to $100 for the cable, you didn't have anything. So, like I say, good and bad. I hope I made sense there.
Yeah.
Yep, you did good.
I
You
was
did good.
kind of off the dome, as you like to say.
Oh,
It
yeah,
got messed
off the
up in my
dome.
head a little bit.
All right, Morgan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. I mean, to kind of add to your original question about, how it's changed, the technology has definitely changed. I mean, for sure, we can look back 30, 50 years and see that we went from, like, the box TVs that you could hardly carry anywhere because they were big and heavy and not really mobile, to the flat screen TVs, to tablets, to phones. But I've also taken notice that a lot of the content on the TV has changed as well, because as time goes on, you're going to see different things on the TV. And there's a lot of things that we show now that are different than what you would have seen 30 or 40 years ago. So the content definitely changes. They're trying to take a lot of, a different approach to certain shows. They're trying to take, like, violence and stuff out of certain TV shows. So moral values have evolved as well as the technology.
Yeah, well, moral. Yeah, I would agree
great
to a
point.
certain extent. They sort of pick and choose which morals that they're going to highlight and whatnot. But the biggest change I've seen, being the old guy here, is television seasons used to be roughly 25 to 28 episodes through, from September through May, roughly. And now it's a lot shorter seasons. You'll
They might
have,
have like 10 or 12.
yeah, you might have 6 episodes in the fall and 6 episodes in the spring, or 8 and 8, somewhere in there. Some shows, some series will do 11 in the fall and 11 in the spring, and I think regular network shows are 20 or 22 episodes regularly. But the storytelling, a lot more is, there's a lot more, I'm trying to think how to put it, where it's a continuing saga, and less just standalone episodes with the same character, like, mystery of
Talking
the
like
week.
the cliffhangers.
Kind of like cliffhangers, but if you think of something like Breaking Bad, where it told a complete story from beginning to end. That whole series was all about Walter White going from chemistry teacher to, drug kingpin. But it told a complete story. And some shows, there are more shows nowadays that are built on that type of premise, where they're trying to tell a story that they are working towards an end. But they've developed, the good ones are developed well enough that they can
Stretch it out.
Well, exactly. They can stretch it out. They can keep the story going, and they'll figure out, okay,
How to
when we're
pull
ready
you
for it
in.
to end, this is how we're going to wrap it up.
I think that's how they get the seasons, because technically some of these seasons that they create nowadays, it's more like it looked like it's movie based, but instead of making just one movie and getting money off the movie, they make a series and okay.
Well, yeah, and that's what happens on the streamers now, like Netflix and Hulu. They'll do an 8-episode, 10-episode series, and it's just a one and done. Which some of those are great, or I appreciate, because it gives you more than a movie would, but it doesn't have so much filler that you get bored with it and want to.
I can appreciate it when a series though kind of they call their quit. Like I'm kind of thinking of The Good Place. I don't know if any of you saw that, but people were really upset that the writers just ended that after 4 series because it was really popular. It was really successful. And people were like, well, why don't you keep it going? And the writers were just like, you know what? We told the story we wanted to tell. It's had its course. And they ended it with that instead of putting in the fillers and extending it with stuff that doesn't make sense and then maybe leaving a cliffhanger that never gets picked up, which is probably one of the single most annoying things that happens with series. They just ended it, and I wish more of them would do that, actually, instead of just trying to hold on to the money and keep it stretching with stuff that doesn't make sense or it barely made sense, or it's just this huge stretch to the show.
For no reason.
Like, don't do the fillers. Just end it. If you've reached a point, let it go.
Yes. Well, thank you, everyone, for your add-ons to this conversation. And finally, for our last question today, not Morgan over there, but Becca. Well, we already touched base on this. Like, do you have like a favorite TV show in particular?
Oh gosh, a favorite one? No, I don't think so. I mean, I love Lucifer. That one's going to be ending. It's a Netflix one. We were just talking about how they were ending, sadly. Lucifer kind of ended. They're doing that, like just like we were just talking about. They had their story that they wanted to tell.
That was the show you was talking about?
No, The Good Place was my first example, but Lucifer is doing that. This upcoming season is their last one, season 6. They're just calling it quits, and the fans are so upset about it because they love it. But the writers are just like, no, we've reached our limit. This is it. So I know y'all are laughing about my choice of movie. I don't have a
because I just knew you was gonna I didn't particularly knew you was gonna say Lucifer, but I felt like you was gonna add Lucifer because I remember last time when we did that Gator thing, you touched base on Lucifer, but I didn't know that was your favorite show though. But
it is. That's why I was touching base on it because it's the one that has me cliffhanging right now. Like I said, the single most annoying thing a show can do. But it's not really their fault. I blame COVID for a lot of it because they had to stop production because of it. But they left it such a huge cliffhanger. It's the worst. It's been almost 7 months.
So that was the final of that show?
No, they split up. Like Jim was talking about how they're making the season shorter. There's 6 episodes in one. And then they release the next part of it, season A, and then they'll go season 5B. So they split it up for some reason.
Is that the show that has the actor, is it Tom Ellis? Is that his name?
Yeah. Tom Ellis and the detective.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people watch that show, not for the plot, but because of the actor.
Well, I mean, it's got a good plot, too. It's not like Magic Mike, where you're like, oh, I definitely watched it for the plot. But this one does legitimately have a good plot, as well as an attractive main character.
Yes. Okay. Well, everyone, I thank you for tuning in to the meetup. And as everyone is listening to Becca, you should get familiar with her voice because you'll be seeing her more on the meetup. And thank you, Becca, for tuning in today.
Thanks for letting me join.
And I thank you, Morgan, and Jim as well. And I just want to thank my listeners for tuning in to the meetup one more time. And have a great weekend.